part of the reason why it's so good is because both of these coaches embrace it, right? They talk about it all the time. They don't shy away from how important this game is. They don't shy away how important those weeks are. It's they embrace everything about it. And I think for John Harbaugh specifically, I think sometimes he loves it too much. We thought this was going to be Jacksonville's division to run away with for the next couple of years. They better be on their A game because it looks like the Colts and the Texans are taking advantage, and they're in the hunt as well. He wants to ask the question: should they tank for Caleb Williams? I'm gonna say no, and here's why. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's another great day to discuss other people's excellence. I'm the unforgettable one himself, Mr. Brett Carroll, and I'm just the guy that likes BSN at work. It's just me again today, this week. Emergency meeting popped up for Charles, so he had work to do, so we gonna just roll right through this. All right. Week 5 recap. Some really interesting things happened, and let's just get right into it. All right. We had another classic in the Pittsburgh Steelers and Ravens game. Typical. I mean, again, I say it all the time. To me, this is the best rivalry in sports. If you don't like this rivalry, you don't like football. It's gritty, it's nasty. Every time it comes down to the wire, the numbers speak for itself. In terms of total wins against each other is right there. Total points is right there. I mean, it don't get no better than this, right? Um, Part of me also thinks that uh this rivalry means so much to part of the reason why it's so good is because both of these coaches embrace it, right? They talk about it all the time. They don't shy away from how important this game is. They don't shy away how important those weeks are. It's they embrace everything about it. And I think for John Harbaugh specifically, I think sometimes he loves it too much. What I mean by that is this is now maybe at least the third or fourth time over the last couple of years where he's made some decisions that's cost the Ravens. And it's one of those things like I feel like he doesn't want to just beat the Steelers. He wants to humiliate them. And it's come back to bite him. So like it's 4th and 1. And to me, this was a game-changing play. 4th and 1, you're well in field goal range. You have the best field goal kicker in ever in Justin Tucker. Our offense had done nothing all game. It's 10-3. I would have taken the 3 points, right? Because now you're forcing us to score twice, knowing there's a good chance we're not going to score twice, right? Um, and I get it. If you go for it and get it and score a touchdown, then it's really game over. And maybe you're saying to yourself, because the offense hasn't done anything, if you go for it and don't get it, we can still get the ball back, which is true. I believe we didn't do anything the next time we had the ball anyway. Um, but to me, that was such a momentum changer because you didn't get it. You kept us in the game. And again, you know the history. You know the Steelers are one of those teams you cannot have them keep hanging around, right? You cannot keep it a one-score game. So to me, making it a two-score game would have been the priority, even over trying to put the perennial nail in the coffin, right? So that turned up that ended up messing them up. And there were some other decisions, but that was the bigger decision. That was the biggest decision in my book for this game. Obviously, they had a lot of drops. You can't do anything about that. As a coach, like that's just how it is. Um, but yeah, this like I said, this is like the third, maybe even fourth time over the last couple of years where there was a pivotal decision made by John Harbaugh, and every time it's like he was too aggressive and it backfired. And I get it, that's just how they play, and that's just how they are. And you live by it, you die by it, and you live with it. And as players, you love the fact that he keeps trusting you to do it. But like I said, these decisions keep coming back to bite them. And yeah, so that's my thought on that. But again, I just think that's what makes this rivalry so great. It's so important to these guys that they don't want to just beat each other. They want to humiliate each other. And it comes back to bite them sometimes. Again, that's what makes the rivalry great. Despite the win, like I said, fans can't be happy with the team or the offense. Obviously, it's always great to beat the Ravens. We're happy about that, especially the way we did it in terms of, once again, Kenny Pickett being clutch when we needed him to be clutch. And that's where, as a Steelers fan, it's frustrating when it comes to Kenny Pickett, because the one thing we can say is he's proven, if you give him the ball in a one-score game and you need him to go make plays, he has proven time and time again so far he can do that, right? If you keep it close and you say, here, Kenny, you might have not been able to get a first down all game, but the game's on the line. We need you. For some reason, he just has that it factor where he can make plays when plays desperately need to be made. But it's like, okay, but that's great. But you can't rely on the defense keeping it close for basically 4 quarters, and then you go make the 1 or 2 plays that you need to make in order to win the game. That's not how that works. If we're going to win at a high level, we need to see you make those plays throughout the game, not just in a 2-minute drill. And so you can't feel that great about the win, because although it's always great to beat the Ravens, and although we're in first place and we're feeling good going into the bye, this offense just has not looked good. And this isn't your older brother's Ravens defense either. This is a good defense, but it's not a shutdown defense. This is not the type of defense that we should have been struggling as much as we were throughout the game. And once again, this guy right here, man, just predictable plays, uncreative plays, doing the same thing over and over and over again, even though it's not working. And this picture right here has been the biggest controversy. See everybody cheering and stuff, and he's the only one not. That was during the game-winning play where Kenny Pickett audibled out of the play, and that's been confirmed now today by Kenny Pickett. He changed the play call for the go route to George Pickens for the game-winning touchdown. And this man is not happy because he knows his plays aren't the reason why we won the game. I'm sorry, man. You got to get rid of this guy during the bye. I don't understand why they refuse to do it. He's holding this team back, and he's holding back the offense, and he's holding back Kenny Pickett. Because once again, Kenny Pickett wasn't great. There are things Kenny Pickett needs to do be better, but at the same time, it's hard to fully evaluate this guy. Yeah, it's hard to evaluate this guy when your offense coordinator is this bad, right? It's just hard to do it. And so, I don't want to go on this rant every single week, but it's like, man, I just don't understand why they won't get rid of him. Get rid of him, promote somebody else to do the play calling. Because, yeah, it might be some of the same plays and stuff, but even if some of the play calls are different, that should make a whole world of a difference, bro. Right now, it's throw on first down, run on second down, try to get to third and short. And that in and of itself is a stupid mindset, because like they say, you shoot for the moon, because if you miss, you aim amongst the stars, right? If your whole offense is just predicated on being third and short, then you're going to fail, because that means if you don't hit your goal, you're going to be third and long. And what are we all the time? Third and long, because his whole offense is predicated on just trying to get to third and manageable. And the defense knows that. So they sit on those out routes on first down. So it's always incomplete. They stack the box on second down because they know we're running the ball. So we get minimal gains. And so it's third and long every single time, because the offense is predicated on just getting the third down. The best offenses in the league aren't even trying to get the third down. The best offenses in the league are getting first downs over and over and over again, so they don't even have a bunch of third downs. And if they do, then those third downs are short, because they've been going for the first down every single time. Again, that's my point. You shoot high, so even if you miss, you have something that you can live with, right? Think about negotiations when you're negotiating for a job or whatever. You might have a number in your head. You always say a higher number because you're hoping that through negotiations, you get down to the number that you really want. You don't start with the number that you really want because in that way, if when they say no and you got to renegotiate, you're going to be much lower than what you wanted. So I don't understand the mindset of having an offense where the whole point is just to get to third down and make it third and manageable. That that doesn't make sense. So if you fail, you're going to be in a bunch of third down, third and longs, and this is the NFL. You're going to fail a lot. Like it's just stupid. They got to get rid of him, man. I just don't understand. I don't get it, bro. We've seen enough of this dude, and this should have been the nail in the coffin to me. And I think we're gonna find out a lot over the next couple of months about who makes decisions. Because if it's Mike Tomlin, then Mike, bro, I don't know what you're doing. Like you might have to go too. If it's the Rooneys, then fine, your hands are tied. But my God, somebody's got to step up and make a decision here, like because this is ridiculous. All right, after a huge win in Buffalo, and we just gave them all this praise last week. They go to London and they get beat by the Jaguars. And not only did they get beat by the Jaguars, Matt Milano gets hurt. I think somebody else got hurt in that game. I don't know what to make of the Bills. You know, you had Stephon Diggs blowing up on the sidelines again. It just seems like this team is just on the brink of collapse. But yet every time we kind of count them out, they remind us how good they are. They're just a very weird team. Obviously, they have one of the best quarterbacks in the league. They have one of the best wide receivers in the league. The defense is usually up there as well. This is a team that should be, you know, better. They just should be better. And every time we feel good about them, stuff happens. And now, like I said, the injury bugs are hurting their defense. So more and more is going to be relied upon for Josh Allen. And Josh Allen's the type of guy you can't just depend on him to do everything because that's when the turnovers happen. That's when the mistakes happen. You have to find a way to keep him balanced and keep him engaged, right? Um, I don't know, man. I like this Buffalo team. I want them to be successful. I like good rivalries, right? I like that the Bengals and the Chiefs and the Bills are like those three teams that we're looking at every year. But it's starting to feel like the Bills are like the stepchild, and the Bengals and the Chiefs are going to be the reign of the AFC. And I don't want that. I want the Bills to be in that mix. Buffalo Bills fans deserve it. They've been through enough. They're one of the most dedicated fans in the sport. Um, you want to see them be in the mix, right? And I just feel like if this year doesn't go well, I don't know what's going to happen to them in the future, bro. I really don't. Some good things. The Bears, they got their first win in an amazing Thursday night game. Um, DJ Moore had his coming out party not only as a Bear, but I think that was his best game, like period. 3 touchdowns, 230 yards. This is why they got him. Hey, Carolina, it would be very nice if you had him now. Would it? Um, Justin Fields played well. This is good. This is a good sign if you're the Bears. Justin Fields has had 2 good weeks. You blew it against Denver, but you turned around this week against the Bears. They play Minnesota, I think, this week. Um, keep stacking. Keep stacking because like I know everybody's talking about Caleb Williams and stuff like that. We forget Justin Fields was supposed to be really good, and he showed flashes that he could be really good, right? The Panthers keep losing, so you're gonna have a top pick anyway. Dude, like honestly, you should be all in on trying to see what this team can be. Because if you could get like the second pick in the draft, that's great. You could get Marvin Harrison Jr. Now imagine DJ Moore is your number 2. I mean, come on now. Like, I really think the Bears should be all in on trying to see what they have in this team and what they have in Justin Fields. Because again, Caleb Williams is probably going to be sitting there for them anyway if they need it. I would much rather be able to trade that pick and get a boatload for that pick again because we know this roster isn't complete yet, right? And that's another thing. You bring in Caleb Williams, you're putting him in the same bad situation that you put in Justin Fields. I get they're different type of quarterbacks, and he should be able to handle it better than Justin Fields has been able to handle it. But to me, I really wouldn't give up on Justin Fields yet. I really wouldn't. I would try to see what you have in him, see if you can keep stacking these wins, see if you can use that Panthers pick to either bolster your offensive line or get another weapon in there. Um, and then you have your other pick to do some damage as well. I wouldn't just tank the season yet. They have a very favorable schedule. Let's see if you can stack these wins. And if you can't, right? If the next over the next 5 weeks, I think they play Minnesota. I think they play Vegas. I want to say they play some like bad teams. If you can't get a couple wins over the next 5 weeks, then maybe you think about shutting it down and just preparing for Caleb Williams. Well, right now, I know it's also one of those weird things with the trade deadline. Do you just trade Justin Fields now while his stock is up? It's possible maybe the Jets would want him, maybe the Patriots would want him, maybe the Cowboys, if they're not sold on Dak, would want him. I don't know. Like I get that's also part of the equation. But again, let's see what the next 2 weeks do for you and then make that decision. Because again, this guy is still young. He still has so much raw talent. I would hate to just give up on him when you could trade the pick and give him more draft picks to work with. Because again, you're more than a quarterback away. This team needs a lot. That defense is still not good. The offensive line is still not good. They need some stuff. All right. Great week for Jonathan Taylor. That man got his money finally. 3-year, $42 million contract. Zach Moss has still been killing it as they've been easing him in. When Anthony Richardson comes back, and unfortunately he's on IR. But when he gets back, this team can be scary, man. This team can be scary, especially in the run game. I think it's smart to do like a Cleveland Brown situation where you have both of them in rotation. Keep Jonathan Taylor healthy, keep Zach Moss healthy, keep Anthony Richardson healthy, have just a stupid running game. And then again, this is a decent receiving, wide receiver draft. Draft some more weapons so the passing game could catch up to your running game, or using the run game to create play action for yourself. This could be amazing, bro. Like seriously, this could be an amazing, scary team offensively if Zach Moss and Jonathan Taylor can coexist in the backfield and they can maintain both of them. Yeah, bro. The Colts are doing a lot of good things right now. The Jaguars better be careful because the Texans are a lot better than we thought they were going to be, and the Colts are a lot better than we thought they were going to be. We thought this was going to be Jacksonville's division to run away with for the next couple of years. They better be on their A game because it looks like the Colts and the Texans are taking advantage, and they're in the hunt as well. A team that's not in the hunt right now is the Giants. Charles wanted me to talk about the Giants this week. Well, he wanted to talk about the Giants this week. We didn't really talk about the Giants last week, but since he's not here, I'll still talk about it. He wants to ask the question, should they tank for Caleb Williams? I'm going to say no, and here's why. Here's the only reason why I would say no. As bad as they are at 1-4, they're not the worst team in football. I think the Panthers are worse. The Vikings, now that Justin Jefferson is out, might be worse. Again, the Bears, we talk about the Bears, if they can't get it together, they might be worse. Denver might be worse. Arizona, they're playing hard every week, but they might not be in the mix. Not to mention, here's another thing you got to remember. The Bears have 2 picks that will probably be in the top 10. The Cardinals have 2 picks that might be in the top 10-ish. The point I'm making is, even at 1-4, I don't think they're the worst team in the NFL. And by the time it's all said and done, I don't think they're going to be in range to get Caleb Williams. And again, I keep saying this with the Panthers and everything else. History has shown us you don't want to trade up for that pick, because what you're going to have to give up is going to be way more than what Caleb Williams can fix. Even Caleb Williams. Remember, this is a team whose offensive line is still in shambles. This is a team who still needs wide receivers. This is a team that still could use some help defensively. Um, this is a team that might not have Saquon this year, after this year. You know what I mean? So it's like I don't think they're going to be bad enough to be the number one pick in the draft, nor do I think they should try to do it because, again, I know at 1-4 they're still right there, but there's a lot of teams that aren't doing well this year, and there's a lot of teams that have two picks that might be in the mix. Um, like I said, right now, I believe right now if the draft were today, the Bears would have the number one and the number two pick. So it's one of those things where you're not even bad enough to get the number one pick, even if you tried. And you're not good enough of a team to try to trade up for the number one pick because as good as Caleb Williams is, you are way more than just a quarterback away from being good. I understand y'all made the playoffs last year. Last year, you had the easiest schedule in football. And I try to tell Giants fans this, like, yo, temper your expectations. You had the worst schedule in football last year. And now you're seeing that you don't have the worst schedule in football. It's hard for y'all to even win a game. Think about it. Your only win is a comeback victory against the Cardinals. Yikes. So this is what I'm saying. They're a bad team, but I don't think they're the worst team in the league. So therefore, even if they're trying to win, which they should be trying to win, if you're Brian Daboll, you're not necessarily safe if you go 1-16 this year. I don't think anybody's going to sit there and say, "Oh yeah, he should come back," right? So if you're the coaching staff, you definitely don't want to lose. So you can't tank. You got to try as much as you can. I think they can win 4 games this year. 4 games isn't going to get you the number one pick in the draft. And therefore, do you trade every draft pick you own from now to 2030 to get Caleb Williams? I don't think it's worth it because then you get Caleb Williams and he has nothing around him because you have a worse team than you had before he even got there. Now, if you want to try to tank because you rather just take a Drake May or somebody else, if you're the mindset of anybody other than Daniel Jones, okay, that's a different story. But obviously, in this year's class, everybody's dreaming of Caleb Williams and Caleb Williams only. I just don't. I just don't see how that. I just don't see the path where that happens. I guess is the point I'm making because again, the Panthers themselves are like the worst team in football, and I don't even see how they're going to get more than 2 wins this year. I mean, any given Sunday, anything can happen, but I don't see how the Panthers get more than 2 wins. Again, the Cardinals they play hard, so maybe they can get some more wins just by playing hard. They already have. Do they have 2 wins already, or they have the 1 win? I don't remember. But the point is, they play hard. Maybe they could get 2 or 3 wins, but I still think they're a worse football team than you. Um, Minnesota, they're talking about trading Kirk Cousins. They might just shut it down because he's one of the few teams that Caleb Williams said he wants to go to. Now, granted, the Giants were on that list as well. I get that. But if you're Minnesota, that makes more sense, right? If you're Minnesota, you have Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison who played with Caleb Williams in college. Yeah, you still need some defensive pieces, but offensively, it would be worth trading up to get Caleb Williams because at least you know you might have the most explosive offense in the league, right? With those 3 guys alone, let alone, the other pieces you might be able to get. So, and they'll have money this offseason. So for Minnesota, it makes more sense to tank. It doesn't make sense for the Giants to tank, in my opinion. Charles might disagree. Unfortunately, he's not here to talk about it. Maybe we'll readdress it next week. But that's just my 2 thoughts on that. All right. Week 6. I gotta be honest with you. Looking at these games, and a lot of them just aren't good. There was a lot of games that could have been good if injuries weren't part of the equation. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, there's not much for week 6. Vikings Bears, like I said, could we, can Justin Fields put good games together? I get it. It's another Vikings team it's another team with a bad defense, so it might be empty calorie stats, right? But still, that's still part of the game, right? If you can't even put together good offenses against bad defenses, that's when you're really in trouble, right? So this is fine. If he could put 3 good games together in a row and build some confidence, and this may help them when they play better teams, right? So that's a big game. I talked about already in terms of number one pick in the draft. Whoever loses this game, their sights are probably going to focus now on the draft. They'll be 1-6, and at that point, they might both be thinking whoever loses this game is probably going to look at their quarterback and say, you know what, should we just trade them now and tank for Caleb Williams? So that's a huge game. Bucks Lions, 2 good teams that are still fighting for respect. That should be interesting. Chargers Cowboys. Hopefully that's a shootout. Hopefully that's fun on Monday night to end the week right. But yeah, those are like kind of the only games I had circled. I mean, it wasn't much. Again, there was a few games that could have been good. Like, I forgot who the Jets play, but obviously without Aaron Rodgers, that game is no longer watchable. Um, Chiefs Broncos might have been fun if the Broncos were good this year. Now if Travis Kelce doesn't play, maybe it's a lot more fun because we saw the Chiefs when Travis Kelce didn't play week 1. They're beatable, right? So maybe that game's a lot more interesting if Kelce doesn't play. I can't think of some other games, but Ravens Titans might be good. They usually play each other well, but like the Titans just haven't been good this year. Um, yeah, it's a bunch of games that's like, eh. So unfortunately, week 6 isn't something I'm really hyped for. And then the Steelers are on the bye. So, obviously there's nothing that I'm really looking forward to watching. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. We shall see. But that's the video, guys. Get excited. It's the NFL, right? The NFL can still give us some good games that we don't see coming. So we're gonna enjoy it all. And we'll be here next week to talk about it. All right, but I'm None for Brother One. You can find me at Never Brett Me. That's NEVA _ the number 4 BRETT _ ME on Instagram, Twitter, and Threads. Charles is not the Chuck D on all the socials. We are the _ dope blog on Instagram and Threads. We're the dope blog, all one word, on Twitter. We're at the dope.blog. And because you're watching this on YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe, and join us next time as we continue to discuss other people's excellence. Deuces.